Picture this. You are sitting on the toilet. You finish your business. You reach to your right, and your hand grabs empty air. The cardboard tube is completely bare. Panic sets in. Your heart races. You are trapped. Now, imagine that exact same feeling of absolute terror, but it lasts for 300,000 years. Before the year 1857, commercially available toilet paper did not exist. It was not in the supermarket. It was not in the medieval village. It was definitely not in the prehistoric cave. For 99.9% of human history, we walked around the planet without soft, 3-ply aloe vera-infused paper. So, how did our ancient ancestors clean themselves? Did they just walk around dirty? To understand this deeply uncomfortable but hilarious mystery, we first need to look inside the prehistoric stomach. The ancient human diet was completely different from what you eat today. Today, you eat processed carbs, deep-fried fast food, dairy, and refined sugar. This modern diet creates a massive digestive problem. It makes your waste soft, sticky, and incredibly messy. It requires a lot of cleaning. But a caveman? A caveman ate like a wild animal. Their diet was extremely high in natural fiber. They ate massive amounts of raw roots, wild berries, tough leaves, nuts, and lean, wild meat. Because of this incredibly dense, fibrous diet, their digestive system worked like a perfect machine. When a caveman went to the bathroom, the waste was firm, compact, and dry. It left almost zero residue. If you own a dog, you know exactly what this looks like. Wild animals do not need toilet paper because their natural diet creates clean exits. Anthropologists jokingly call this the primal ghost wipe. For thousands of years, cleaning up wasn't really a major issue because there wasn't much to clean. But then, everything changed. About 12,000 years ago, humans made the greatest and most disastrous invention in history: agriculture. We stopped hunting and started farming. We began eating huge amounts of wheat, grains, bread, and milk. Our diets became softer and lower in fiber, and as a direct result, human poop changed. It became sticky. It became messy. Suddenly, early humans had a major hygienic crisis on their hands, literally. As humans started living tightly together in cities, the smell and the bacteria became deadly. We needed a solution, and different cultures came up with some truly horrifying ideas. Let's start with the ancient Romans. The Romans were famous for their incredible plumbing and public bathhouses, but their wiping method will give you nightmares. In a public Roman toilet, you would sit side by side with 20 other people. When you finished, you used a tool called the tersorium. What is a tersorium? It is a sea sponge, attached to a wooden stick. You wiped yourself with it, and then, here is the worst part, you rinsed it in a bucket of salt water and handed it to the guy sitting next to you. Yes, the entire Roman Empire shared the exact same public butt brush. If you think that is bad, let's look at the ancient Greeks. The Greeks didn't use soft sponges. They used something called pessoi. Pessoi were small, oval-shaped ceramic stones or pieces of broken pottery. You would literally scrape yourself clean with the edge of a rock. Historians have found these ancient bathroom stones, and analysis shows they cause severe medical issues. No kidding, you are rubbing broken plates on your most sensitive areas. As humans spread across the globe, they used whatever nature provided. If you were a Viking exploring the freezing Arctic, you grabbed a handful of cold snow. It was freezing, but it was highly effective. If you lived in the forests of Europe, you used soft moss or a handful of broad leaves. In coastal regions, people used clamshells and oyster shells. Imagine the precision required to wipe with an oyster shell without sending yourself to the hospital. When Europeans colonized America, they found a new local solution: corn. Before paper became cheap, early Americans famously used dried corn cobs. They were abundant, they were free, and they were incredibly rough. It was basically natural sandpaper. It wasn't until the late 1700s that cheap paper finally became common. But they still didn't buy toilet paper. They used old newspapers, catalogs, and the famous Farmer's Almanac. In fact, the Farmer's Almanac became so popular for bathroom use that the publishers actually started pre-drilling a hole in the corner of the book so people could easily hang it on a nail inside their outhouse. It took until 1928 for a company to finally invent toilet paper that didn't have wood splinters in it. Yes, before then, you had to worry about getting a wooden splinter while wiping. So the next time you sit on your comfortable porcelain throne and unroll a fresh, soft, clean sheet of toilet paper, take a second to appreciate it. Your body is built on a messy, modern diet. But thankfully, you don't have to share a salty sponge with your neighbor. You don't have to scrape yourself with a broken piece of pottery. And you don't have to use a dried corn cob. You are living in the absolute golden age of bathroom hygiene.